Hi, thank you, and thank you for joining us today. I'm Linnell Ebel from uh, from Fox Health Coaching. I'm using some new software, and it's telling me some interesting things. But with me today is Saunders, sorry, from the Light Cellar, and we're going to talk about chocolate. So Malcolm is deeply connected to connecting Malcolm's mission is to deeply connect people to their food, and he is the author of the book Elixir Life: Modern Nutrition Meets Ancient Herbal Wisdom. He has worked in the field of food and nutrition for close to 20 years and is the owner and creative visionary for the Light Cellar here in Calgary. Malcolm is a food and nutrition expert, public speaker, and intuitive chef who specializes in sharing the alchemy of superfoods and super herbs. Through his books, videos, and workshops, he has helped thousands of individuals recreate and improve their relationship to food. Malcolm has an expertise and passion for creating and teaching others how to make energizing and healing foods, including elixirs, ferments, and of course, chocolate.
Yeah,
Now, I'm probably not alone here when I say I love chocolate.
definitely not. We all do. It's like,
And I'm also probably not alone here, and this might seem like a silly question, but if your answer is yes, put a thumbs up or a yes in the comment section. But have you ever experienced a chocolate craving? Have you, Malcolm? For sure. I mean, and I'll never forget the most intense chocolate craving I ever had was last year when I was pregnant with Gabrielle. It was like my body was speaking through a megaphone, going, chocolate, chocolate. I literally had to drop everything, head to the grocery store, and as I'm powering through the store looking for chocolate that I can eat because I have food allergies, I remember thinking that if a person were to interfere at that moment of me getting chocolate, their life might have been at risk. Now, if you've never been pregnant before, you probably never experienced a craving that intense, but I'm sure you have cravings. And I want you to know that your cravings are actually a way of your body communicating with you. And it's telling you, hey, I need something. In the case of chocolate, it's usually magnesium. So I want you to think about that next time. Your cravings are a positive intention. They're your body communicating with you. Now, the solution your body comes up with is the answer that they best know. But chocolate can be a healthy part of our day. So, Malcolm, why is chocolate good for you?
yeah, for sure. Well, and I think right off we should clarify, not all chocolate's created equal, right? We have, candy bars, which is mostly sugar and milk and all these other things, which can't even be called chocolate technically because it doesn't contain enough chocolate to be so. Any kind followed, I've eaten candy bars, right? That's what my body was calling for. And that was kind of more of a sugar craving. And it's been a whole journey of me kind of, again, recreating my relationship to food, getting back on track with kind of natural foods and diet and bring my body back into balance where I can have that more intuitive relationship with food and with eating. And from that space, that's the best space to be in. That's the goal. That's where we want to all end up. And part of that journey, and once you're on it, is always choosing the best quality. So we got to look for the highest quality of chocolate. Many people have probably heard, you want to go dark. That means it's going to have more cacao, more cocoa content, more of that goodness, and be better off for you. So that being said, if that's what you're choosing and that's what you're consuming, yeah, can chocolate be healthy? Can it be a part of your health routine? Absolutely. So choosing that best, highest quality, if we go as close to that whole natural food that chocolate is, which is cacao, that's the bean or the nut from which all chocolate contains. You mentioned one little element there, which is really high in magnesium. It's actually high in magnesium and many other minerals. So magnesium is a mineral used the most by the body and especially the heart. And it's said to help kind of relax. flex. So, muscles, that kind of thing. A lot of women, they'll actually crave chocolate through menstruation. And part of that is that relaxation of smooth muscle tissues, as well as there's lots of feel-good chemicals in chocolate, including endorphins, dopamine, serotonin. So it's a good natural uplift and antidepressant that you don't get dependent on. Interesting thing about chocolate, and maybe you've experienced this, you never develop a tolerance to chocolate. So to satisfy that little craving, doesn't it always just take that one bite? Right? I mean, I'm not saying you will only have one bite. I mean, if you're like me, you'll probably have another and another because chocolate is just so good. But that's our experience, right? It just takes that one little bite and we get flooded with just like that feel good sensation. And there's a lot going on in chocolate. It's actually one of the most complex foods on earth, to the point where we have not cracked the code on everything that chocolate contains, what it's all about. I've heard anywhere from ranges of 1,200 to over 5,000 different chemical components to chocolate, of which magnesium is one, theobromine is one. Theobromine, this is a vasodilator. So where something like coffee has caffeine, being a nervous system stimulant, theobromine acts primarily on the cardiovascular system, so it really helps open up and increase blood flow. That's one of its effects.
which is important to
So
brain health.
totally, that's right. And in fact, I've seen studies where children perform better on tests having a little bit of chocolate beforehand because of that increased blood flow, because of that increased focus and concentration that chocolate has. Plus, it just helps us get in a good mood, right? It gets us relaxing, and when we're in that state, we're going to do better at anything, aren't we?
Yeah, for sure. So, and if you're watching right now and you have some questions below, feel free to post your question and we'll try and get to answer them. Now, Malcolm, what is the difference between cacao and cocoa powder? Because you mentioned that. So, what is the difference and why would I want one over the other?
Yeah, totally. Sometimes I use those words interchangeably. So cacao, C-A-C-A-O, that is actually, in fact, the original word. The cultures, the origins where chocolate comes from, which is Central and South America. That was the word that they used, how they would, the term. And then cocoa came later. I believe that was a British term. Either they couldn't pronounce cacao or they just wanted it their way, and it became C-O-C-O-A, cocoa. And conventionally, what we have is, in the chocolate making world today, your average chocolatier, chocolate maker will refer to cacao as the raw material, the raw ingredient, those, the tree, the fruit pods, the cacao beans that come out of that fruit. In that state, they'll say cacao, but as soon as it starts to go through any little bit of processing, including the roasting of the beans and turning it into chocolate, the convention seems to switch to that term cocoa. For me, I like the word cacao. I like calling back to the original food and that original word, because that's how I approach making chocolate and what I'm looking for when I eat chocolate. We're talking about all these different properties and benefits, and the difference between really good chocolate and a candy bar is we want to get as close to the source of cacao as minimally processed as possible, that so it can retain all that wonderful nutrition that it has. So that's where I kind of draw that line, and I sometimes will use the terms interchangeably. So that's my take on it. And then there's also kind of that conventional, industry approach of cacao versus cocoa.
Okay. So, if I'm going to go out and buy some chocolate, oh, I lost you there, Malcolm.
Oh, I'm still
Oh,
here. I can see you.
never mind. Never mind. The technology threw me off. We're good. So, if I was going to go out and buy some chocolate, what are the key things that I'm looking for to know that I'm buying good chocolate?
Yeah, really good question. So I mentioned at the beginning, most people look for that percentage, right? They're looking for, at least 50%, 70, maybe 60, 80, anywhere in that range. Now that's only one small indication. I'm really passionate about going deep into chocolate. What makes chocolate good? Well, let's start all the way from the beginning and let's relate it to some other foods that we know and can experience. A lot of us, there's this trend of going to farmers markets, to look for, let's say, heirloom tomatoes, right? Because we know them, from smelling them, from tasting them, that there's something going on in that heirloom tomato that's just not happening in their regular grocery store tomato that might be a hybrid or hydroponically grown. You can, yeah, see it, taste it, smell it, everything. There's difference in the genetics. And the exact same thing is with cacao. So you have all these different varieties of cacao, and you have hybrids, which are, again, more industrially grown. They don't have the same characteristics of taste or smell or flavor, which to me is an indication of nutrition, of quality. So I might look for, and this is kind of tricky because we're in this kind of new frontier of chocolate. Chocolate has typically been candy bars. I mean, you and I, we grew up eating chocolate, loving chocolate, and for me, I got like deep into it as kind of a whole food fanatic, right? And it took me so long to kind of put the pieces together on chocolate, because not much has been known about it. It's almost been one of those most mysterious foods where, for if you ask me, like, chocolate was just a candy bar. It was just cocoa powder, and I had never investigated what was the whole food source. So I've been doing that. Many other bring more transparency to it. So now you'll begin to see things like craft chocolate or bean to bar or single origin. And there's no standardization of, oh, what should you look for? But these types of terms are an indication of that the chocolate maker is really after a certain quality. They have an awareness in their sourcing, in the terroir, right? We know this from like the wine industry, that, the place that it comes from has an influence on the flavor. So that single origin, meaning it's from one source. So it's more of a specialty product, potentially heirloom, versus commodity chocolate, like bulk, grown en masse, produced en masse. So the smaller scale you can go, the better quality you're going to get.
Cool. I mean, that's great information to know. So you do a chocolate making workshop. How would I sign up for that? Because I noticed the one on Sunday is sold out. So how do I sign up for your next chocolate making workshop if I want to learn how to make my own healthy chocolate?
Yeah, well, there you go. I mean, nothing is better than the handmade and the homemade, right? Whether you're talking chocolate or, it's a wonderful art and a wonderful craft to get into. I've been teaching this class for, oh boy, more than probably 12 years. And I almost do it once a month. They do sell out. So the one in February is sold out, but we have one in March. So you go to thelightseller.ca, and maybe we can even put a link down below in the comments for folks to check out. And you can register for that. It's a 3-hour deep dive. I like to call it, it's a death by chocolate experience, but I call it life by chocolate, because we're going to upgrade the quality, and you're going to be, joyously overwhelmed in the world of chocolate. You get to make your own chocolate. It's hands-on. You get to take it home, and you're making the best quality chocolate, but also what I like to call superfood chocolate. You're going to add in all kinds of superfoods, herbs, spices, whatever tickles your fancy, and it's a good fun time.
It is a good fun time. I attended your workshop probably about a year and a half ago and really enjoyed it. And the link is actually above the video.
Okay,
Or there, and
cool.
which is awesome. So you can definitely go to that. Now, if you would like some tips on how I add chocolate, you would like some tips that I can share with you on how I add chocolate, specifically cacao, such a tricky
Potato, potato,
yeah, into my day. Please sign up for my newsletter because that's going to be going out early next week, especially for Valentine's Day, on how you can actually make that chocolate a healthy part of your daily routine. So thank you for joining us, and we're looking forward to seeing you in the future. And Malcolm, I definitely know in the future we're going to have to talk about fermented foods. So you up for that?
Oh yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
no,
So
I was watching.
we'll plan for that, and then we'll let you guys all know when we're going to talk about fermented foods. So have a great day, and talk to you soon. Bye. Thank you.
Yeah, bye.